when I woke up this morning, I was thinking, all right, we can't talk about politics off the top of the show again tonight. There are other things to talk about. There's things happening in Syria. It's Suicide Prevention Day. There are major bushfires taking place as we speak. And then, well, two big things gave me an insight as to former Prime Ministers. Now, at the moment, we are all desperately over the Kevin Rudd versus Julia Gillard history wars about who really was the one who was going to do in the Labor Party at the most recent election. But of course, today, as I said, there were two events that suggest that former Prime Ministers these days, they don't go away, they now go on tour. They either go on tour overseas and they do a series of paid speaking gigs, or they do the same for the business community. But this is a new one. Julia Gillard is going to be sitting down and she has sold out a conversation with Ann Summers, the woman who was leading the charge about all matters to do with sexism. Here's the ad. The ad popped up today, and guess what? This was sold out in one day. The tickets were about $60 each. And Julia Gillard and Ann Summers have now sold out the Sydney Opera House. Now, Julia Gillard is not being paid for the event. All the money is going to Ann Summers and a new effort she is doing to try and basically pay for public conversations like the one she's going to have with Julia Gillard. OK, fine and fair enough. And then we hear that the ABC is going to use our money for a documentary series on Paul Keating. What? As if we haven't already heard everything there is to about the time of Paul Keating in government. Does anyone not remember Labor in power? We've already covered the dollar. We've covered the banks. What's left? Now, of course, what happens now is that our former Prime Ministers are rarely used to give their ideas on how to solve today's problems. No, instead we trot them out 9 times out of 10 to rake over the coals of the past. And always, the titanic ego required to become a Prime Minister of all political classes means you always want to have the last say. So no doubt, while Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard are no longer going to be in the leadership picture, my God, they're going to be around for a whole lot longer. This is the start of the Julia Gillard Rewriting History Tour, where she'll play all the greatest hits. You know, sexism, racism. Kevin Rudd, he'll be able to do all of his, suggesting that he tried to take the party in the right direction, but it failed. And that evil Julia Gillard never got out of the way. The point is, these two will carry on like Hawke and Keating did, which is forever. All they want to do is have the last word on the fight about which one of them was the better Prime Minister. Can we all agree it is an incredible honour to be Prime Minister of Australia? And virtually no Prime Minister leaves office the way they want to. They either get voted out or they get booted out by their party. That's the unfortunate reality. Now, you can go Paul Keating and go sour grapes about that for the rest of your life, or you can do what John Howard did. Shut up for a couple of years and then get back into the political conversation. So much so that the most fascinating thing perhaps that has happened in the past month was that 1 hour of television where we heard from two eminent, smart Australians. Two Australians who have been off the battlefield for a little while. Those being Bob Hawke and John Howard. They were here on Sky News. I think the role of the former Prime Minister is not to rewrite history. The role of the former Prime Minister is to offer their perspective on, if they were back in the job, how would they solve today's problems. As for the gossip, save it for the chat over dinner.